It's not a religion, it's a relationship. This week on the Why Do Christians podcast. Hey, welcome to the show. My name is Mark Dickey. I host the afternoon show on the Bridge radio station. My co-hosts are two of my favorite pastors, Pastor Burt and Pastor Josh. Guys, do you have a relationship with Jesus?
Yeah, I think so.
I would hope so.
And would you consider yourselves religious?
Yes,
Absolutely.
Yeah. Are we over
All
this
right,
episode of
I
the
guess
poll?
the episode's over.
All right, wow. Okay.
So, I mean, you guys have to have heard that phrase before, right?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so I definitely, as a high schooler, I was taught that. I mean, I did grow up in a religious household, and it didn't look the way that my relationship with Christ began, that phrase, relationship. And I started denying, like, oh, no, I'm not religious. Religious is this thing. I'm connected with God. And
Everybody else got it wrong. You're the real one.
yeah.
Yeah.
2,000 years of history.
Yeah.
Wrong. I feel like this episode's already sounding way too one-sided.
Maybe. Okay, well, hold on. All right, because you're not alone. I've used that language in the past before.
Yeah,
Sure.
me too.
Sure, yeah, maybe. And if you're watching you use it too, you know, you're in good company, man. We're not judging you. We're not mocking. Come on. Same fam.
And you know what we should say?
What?
Is not that we're mocking people, but is it a trendy phrase that got picked up and we've kind of lost the meaning behind it?
I think so.
That's probably really what we're trying to say.
Yeah, because the thought goes, hey, listen, you don't want to be stagnant. You don't want to be just dedicated to an empty dogma. Instead, you can have a real relationship with God, right? That's biblical. I mean, that's clearly, like, there's all kinds of verses that talk about this idea of, you know, being God's family or the knowledge of Christ, like knowing Him, surpassing human understanding. So yeah, that's absolutely real. And so I think the intention is good. I just think the phrase isn't accurate.
Yeah. At least the way it made sense to me growing up, I would hear the stories of Jesus and how his constant enemy was the Pharisees.
Religious jerks.
The religious people. And I think that's kind of where this narrative comes from, right?
Right.
Is that Jesus was anti-religion. So when we put Jesus in the box of religion, then we're kind of undoing what he came to, tearing the temple down.
Yeah. You know, now that you put it like that, it makes me think that a big part of it is us comparing righteousness, like not with the standard God has given, but with each other. That when I used to say, oh, I'm not religious, I already had pictures in my head of certain people that I was better than.
Wow.
Right? That I had a relationship that was more in line with Jesus versus them and those stale and dead people. And so that
Whitewashed tombs.
right.
Yeah.
Right. And so it was that idea that, oh, I don't want to be like them. I want to be more like this picture that's in my head.
Vibrant and connected to God.
Yeah. And it was always my picture. And I think it wasn't like the religion or the faith that the scripture was talking about. It was just what was in my head. I don't want to be like them. I want to be like this vibrant. And that's a big part of it, right? When we use that term, that it brings us very much internal to self and not looking towards God.
Well, that kind of, look, maybe this is me being selfish or partial because I'm clergy. Could totally be, okay? I do think when it comes to the comparison to Pharisee of like, hey, well, like, we don't want to be like those Pharisees. I agree, but let's be really careful to not label a fellow believer as a Pharisee. And the reason I say that is like, hey, somebody that might practice the Christian faith in a way that's different than you do in terms of, different liturgy, Sunday service styles, music, whatever.
Oh, yeah.
That's very different from someone who sees Christ in front of them bodily doing miracles and says, I'm not going to believe. Like that's and not just that, but like actively working to get people to not believe in Jesus.
Yeah.
Like that's a Pharisee. That's what he's rebuking. That and like when they put human tradition on par with Scripture, he has a problem with that. But let's just be clear here that I think usually that kind of comparison is not apt.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, that's when the crazy part is we do it all the time in worship. You know, if I'm more expressive, then I'm more alive, right? I'm more faithful versus the person, like you were saying, who's more contemplative and more just quieter. I look at that and like, oh, that's Pharisaic. Or like, oh, they're not really.
They ain't got the fire, brother.
Right.
They ain't got the fire, brother.
They don't have that deep relationship as I have.
right.
And yeah, that's pretty.
Sorry, I just watched the Hulk Hogan documentary, so I got the word brother in my vocabulary a lot more. Yeah.
So the concept of relationship over religion, where did that come from? Like, does it have an origin point?
Yeah. Not definitively in any place I could pin down in terms of like, this is the published work that says, you know, it's not a religion, it's a relationship. William Wallace. And I couldn't find anything like that, right? What I could find was a progression of thought. And there's some key moments.
They could take our religion.
That's right.
But they'll never take our relationship.
That's right. I was hoping somebody was going to break. That's great. What I could find was you can start to see this kind of language being used in revivalist movements. So whether that be guys like Billy Sunday or you think like Old Testament revivals or even like Second Great Awakening, where there shifts in emphasis to this idea of it not being based upon religious practice, but like, hey, have you personally connected with God? Right, rather than it being, hey, this is the religion of my parents and I've inherited it. Do you have a relationship with Christ where you're going to Him and you've believed on Him to save you, that kind of thing? So you see a little bit of it there, but then I'll tell you a place where it really picked up steam was there's a great, and I'm going to say great. There's a great parachurch organization still in existence called Campus Crusade for Christ.
Oh,
yeah,
Cru.
Cru, exactly. They're on college campuses now. They really popularized it in their means of evangelism, and they would put out this thing called it's called the Four Spiritual Laws and stuff like that, which is about.
How long ago did they do this?
I want to say the 70s. It was Bill Bright, and if I'm getting the decade wrong, I'm sorry about that. So I think it would be the 60s or the 70s.
Okay.
But what they would do, the emphasis was all on personal decision to receive Christ. And so you can start to see this shift of like, but they're also, they're reacting against what we might call like a dead formalism of mainline churches of the day, where again, it's about doing something for the, again, I'm not trying to speak of anyone's heart, but just it's about, you know, like religious attendance is not just condoned, it's expected. And you have people leaving church in droves because they're perceiving spirituality as restrictive or oppressive, and there's any number of reasons why.
Well, if let's say 70s, that would mean they were probably born in if it's college students in the 70s, they were probably born in the 50s.
Right.
And when you think of the 50s and just the post World War II, I can see religion being very structured. I mean, we know that in history.
Sure.
It was just very there was no electric guitar on stage.
Well, yeah, but you've also got a cultural version of Christianity. Again, it's commonplace to being an American. And so you could have people in church where, hey, they go to church because that's the social club of the area. It's so you're not seen as weird, right? Like that's weird for us to think about because like church attendance is now in the minority. But back then, no, like you would have people they're going to church because that's what you do on a Sunday. Like, I'm old enough to remember stuff being closed on Sundays because of church, you know? And so you've got a movement of people, and again, it's not just them, but they're probably the most famous group, where they're saying things like, listen, don't just go through the motions. You need to actually know Jesus. And so you start to see this shift of like, hey, it's not about a religion. It's about a relationship. And unfortunately, I think you couple that with also a history of perhaps human fallenness and corruption in churches, church leadership, scandals over the years. It creates a distrust towards organized religion and perhaps power. And so this emphasis from it's not religion, it's a relationship can sometimes be taken to this other extreme of, hey, religion is bad. And I think that's something that we're seeing now culturally.
Guilty.
Okay, yeah. Yeah.
I don't want to say I was brainwashed to think that, but I can clearly, like what you're saying resonates so specifically with growing up as a Christian. Like, no, the way, traditional church bad, free flowy, Jesus loves us good.
Right. and I get the heart behind it. Because who wants to be part of something that's corrupt, for sure. The problem is when the Bible talks about religion, it doesn't always talk about it in the negative. So in other words, like, in fact, there's many instances, what we would associate as something being a religion, the Bible affirms. And so I think when we adopt this posture of, hey, it's not a religion, it's a relationship, and specifically it's all about me and my relationship with God, we actually gut the heritage of what it means to be a Christian. Because you think about like Acts 2, the first church ever, first gathering of believers, first people converting. One of the markers of being Christians, it says they devoted themselves, Acts 2:42 through 47, they devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching, to the breaking of bread, to fellowship. The word that we translate there as fellowship is the Greek word koinonia. It means like intentional gathering with. They devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching. Okay, so they're recognizing spiritual authority, the breaking of bread. This is almost uniformly believed to be talking about communion, like religious ordinances. And this is a group of people who enter in through baptism, which is also an ordinance or sacrament, depending on your tradition. So the idea of, hey, there's rites, there's rituals, there's authority structures, there's charity is another one. Like they sell their stuff and give away the money to help the poor, right? Like this idea of, hey, there's intentional structure that's bad because it's just me and Jesus. I don't think the scriptures support it all. And so I like to just say like this, hey, like the solution to bad religion is not no religion. The solution to bad religion is good religion. Same way the solution to bad theology is not no theology. The solution to bad theology is good theology.
That's good. I mean, you've even got me thinking about the because we've been so anti-religion that we've seen deconstruction happening, and a whole generation of people who were raised in, I'll say, the church, relationship and not religion, are saying, no, this isn't for me, and they're choosing no religion or no theology instead of bad theology.
Yeah, correct. I think, I think about how it hurts, just in sense of we're putting aside a body of understanding. Like when the scripture is written that Christ himself spoke through his apostles and set out for us a structure for our own good, like pastors and deacons and elders and all of this structure that's like, oh, bad religion, like God set up so that we would be cared for and kept in the faith and looked after, and you just think of just how much gets lost when all that's just labeled as something to be thrown away versus like this body and wealth of religion that Christ has given us. We could just kind of toss that away, which is pretty sad.
Yeah, and I think also like the Bible presupposes, in addition to explicit texts, it presupposes that you are part of an organized version of Christianity. I mean, that's why you have instructions about, hey, here's qualifications for leaders. Here's stuff around orderly worship. Here's instructions for giving or charity. Here's instructions around or stories around baptisms. So like it, here's a passage on, hey, listen, like, don't be quick to become a teacher because we who teach are going to be judged more strictly. Here's another one about listen to your leaders. Like it assumes that you are plugged into an organized community of believers. So I would say the New Testament not only affirms organized religion, I think it absolutely teaches it. Sorry, Jim.
And I would say that we want it to teach it, right? Because like, what would it be if God did this mighty thing through Jesus Christ, and it can't tell me anything about how to raise my family? It can't tell me how to gather with other people who believe the same thing.
Yeah.
And it can't tell me how I should be in my marriage, but whereas every other false religion is telling them all that. And they're wrong, and they're driving them into the wrong direction. But here is God, who is full of love and life, doesn't speak to any of it. So yeah, that's not what I want him to speak to my life.
Yes,
tell me.
Yes. I think also a danger of isolating religion into just personal spirituality is that you, or whomever is the individual, redefine spirituality in their own image, right? So essentially what happens is, rather than have people to call us on it when we get it wrong, or can tell us, when we get it wrong, or can teach us things that we don't know, what we tend to do is just go into the lanes where we are comfortable or interested, right? So we'll pick subject, like on the positive end, we'll pick subject matter that only fits within something that's immediately on our mind, and we won't know to look for the things that we don't know what to look for, right? But then in terms of negative character traits, we don't have others who can be like, hold on, have you noticed in yourself there's this? Or, hey, how about this? When it comes to service, you'll serve only within your space and comfort zone to do so. Rather, there might be opportunities to serve other people that are outside you would have never thought of for yourself. And so I think something to realize is that if we're saying, hey, it's not a religion, it's a relationship. A relationship without defined practices ultimately becomes a self-defined spirituality. And we don't want that. And I would just for scriptural support, really, really quick, because I do want to make sure that we're clear that the Bible talks about religion in the affirmative, but it talks about pure religion. So for instance, in James 1:26 and 27, he says, hey, pure religion that God accepts is this: to visit orphans and widows in their, you can translate suffering or despair, and to keep yourself from being polluted by the world. But James actually uses the word religion. Hey, this is what spiritual practice is. And, maybe what we should do is even just talk about, hey, like, what is a religion? And yeah. Religion, I think, simply put, it's an organized structure that revolves around practice and belief of a particular deity or spiritual reality beyond our own. I mean, that's not Webster's, but that's just how I would think. Do you have like a thought there?
Yeah, no, it's corporate, it's identity. It says we abide by this body of beliefs and ideas.
Yeah.
And it's really, like you said, it puts a parameter to that relationship, because like I tell people, if I get married and there were no boundaries, how'd you
know if you're married?
Right. I know if I'm married. And how long would I be married? I don't know. All types of crazy things.
And we are married.
We are.
Not
because
the church is the bride of Christ.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
and I mean, right. And then you have entire books like 1 Timothy that says, how should we live in the household as children? It's not only are we married, we are God's children, and it's his house. How do we abide? If all that gets thrown away, then everybody's just doing whatever. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. So, but if I were to just put this in a nutshell, it's not a religion, it's a relationship. Relationship is really good.
Yeah.
But it's not either or. And we need the religion aspect of it because it forces us beyond ourselves and teaches us about what it means to engage in this relationship. Is that a fair way to say that?
Solid.
Would agree.
Very solid. Do you think we are nearing so if that came from the 70s, because I think generationally, so
yeah, man,
college kids in the 70s, they had kids who in the 90s, who went to college in the 90s. Like we're 50 years from the 70s.
Yeah, that's
5 years really. We're a few generations removed. Forget all the math I just did.
Okay.
None of it mattered.
Get out the window.
Out of there. Are we seeing like a new kind of, it's not religion, it's relationship? In my mind, my first place would go is the deconstruction thing that I mentioned before. Just,
we
believe in the Bible, but we don't go to any church.
Well,
but that's always
also
around,
it's generous
right?
to say that we believe in the Bible, because a lot of people who deconstruct don't. deconstruction is a new buzzword for what Christians have just always called apostasy, like leaving the faith. In terms of numbers and metrics, I don't have them in front of me, so I can only go based off of flawed memory at best. As I understand it, the largest growing religious movement among, it was millennials, so goodness knows even now where we're at, what was called the nuns. They were not like N-U-N, not like a Catholic nun, but N-O-N-E. And it's people who don't affiliate with anything. And they sort of, and you can see this, this comes from largely a mode of thought called postmodernism, which is just this kind of, hey, what's like religion is basically like a flavor of ice cream, like truth is relative. So, like your flavor of ice cream that might be your favorite, might be vanilla, might be chocolate. Like which one's the best? Well, vanilla for you, chocolate for me, right? So they would say with religion, hey, what's true for you is true for you. What's truth for me is true for me. And as long as we're not hurting anybody, it doesn't really matter. We just kind of keep this to ourselves.
Yeah.
And so you see it's sort of a religious pluralism where people just kind of take different components and hodgepodge a version of spirituality that's unique to them. If they're spiritual at all, many others, they just don't even think about it at all because they're just kind of like, hey, I'm going to enjoy my life now. I'm going to be the best person I can be now. I'll have the best life I can now. And beyond that, I don't know. I think there's something beyond here, but I don't give it a whole lot of thought. I know that here in America, church attendance is on the rise. But I have not seen any stat that would tell me that it's in the majority of people whatsoever. That it's not that kind of number.
Yeah.
So I think you are seeing it grow, and actually among church attendance, what you're seeing a resurgence of interest, believe it or not, in more formalized religion. So less seeker sensitive, less hey, like just let me make it really chill in relationship emphasis, and more on a desire for the otherworldly, whether that be liturgy or the sacraments or something like that. I think people what you're seeing an increase in now is a hunger for spirituality that goes beyond the individual and becomes more desperate for the ancient.
Okay. So it sounds like the opposite. It's not relationship, it's religion.
Yeah, but maybe in a good way,
And yes, I say that in a very sarcastic way, but also in a serious way. That it's less about I want my buddy who is Jesus. It's more about like, no, I just want to encounter God as He is and do it the right way.
And I want to be part of something that's bigger than myself.
Yeah,
is another part of it. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So if you have questions about this episode, drop them in the comments or email us at podcast@wearethebridge.org. We also love getting show topics through that email or through the comments as well. Thanks for watching.